boldip.com.
Hey everybody, we're back, kicking off season 4 of the Bold Inventor Show. Here with my co-pilot, Matt Colseth. Matt, good day.
Hey. What's going on, JD?
Man, I'm excited to be here. I'm starting a new year out. We're still here. We're doing it. We're live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube again. Man, I'm doing good. Thank you. It's been good. Finally getting back in the rhythm. I feel like with Christmas and New Year's kind of both hitting in the middle of the week, it was one of those, let's just take 2 weeks off. And,
yeah. I mean, the kids had like 2 weeks off, and then trying to work around them and their schedules is really difficult. And I took some time off, and then it got busy, and then it got really busy, and now I'm paying for it.
But you're here. You're dedicated to the inventor and entrepreneur world.
Dedicated. I got my list of client stuff I got to get done by the 18th when U.S. PTO fees significantly increase. So that's my deadline.
Okay.
I don't know what other clients say the deadline is, but it's the 18th.
Okay. Well, that's just a couple days away. So again, thank you for making time for all of us here.
Oh, of course, man. It's great. It's great to be here. It's good to see you.
Absolutely. Same. So we got our normal program. I do have a guest. I'm hoping we'll chime in here, looking for Mr. Rainey. He's got a really cool invention for the Christmas tree, and I wanted to follow up with him. It's a watering device. So basically, you don't need to go fill it up every time. It's a reservoir, automatic. I wanted to see how his sales did. He had a really cool website.
You must not have children, because that's a kid job.
Right. If you got a lot of kids,
send the kids under the tree,
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think, a lot of folks, don't always have that additional help. And so I want to see what the follow-up from his holiday sales looked like.
Cool.
We've got at least 5 questions that are in our bucket from Reddit, Facebook, and Quora. And I'll check over on Avo. It's been pretty quiet over there, honestly. And then we've got a Shark Tank Bold Bite. Got a good one here. If you've ever had hiccups before, there's a solution for that.
Peanut butter.
Oh, peanut butter?
Spoonful of peanut butter.
Okay, that didn't come up in the episode. So, that'd be a lot cheaper.
What is it? 30% of the time it works every time, kind of deal.
There you go. Right? Yeah. But all stats are true. So
just between us boys, peanut butter.
All right, I like it.
All right, I'm curious to see what the invention is.
Okay. Well, I'll show that off here before we wrap up.
Cool.
Anybody out there listening live, you're welcome to ask questions. We're open to anything intellectual property related, patents, trademarks, copyrights, you name it. We'll help do our best sharing legal information. I'll put up our legal notice here that we're just giving away legal info today. No legal advice and no client privilege as of the public nature of this episode. Let's just jump into it. Matt, I'll warm you up here for the year.
Let's do it, buddy.
Let's dig into this. All right, here we go. Oh yeah, let's just do with a trademark business system name and processing it without a lawyer.
Okay. A trademark business service rule. We'll see.
Okay, let's see. Let's get to the facts here. I need to register trademark for a martial arts system.
Yep.
But everyone says get a lawyer. No, listen to them. I don't have the money right now for a lawyer. Is it possible to do it myself through the USPTO? What about internationally? Would you be able to use the name worldwide, like the protection beyond the U.S.? Is that possible?
Cool. Yeah, great question. We have a number of martial art clients that we work with. But, you can basically register the education, training, martial arts services that you provide under your moniker, right? So whatever your studio dojo name is, right, you could register that name potentially, if it's not already been registered or something similar to it, with the USPTO. Do you need a trademark attorney? No, you don't, technically. If you have the money, it's probably a good investment, right? I think we can provide a lot of good value for clients. But there's a lot of folks who file their trademarks without attorneys. I know from experience that, the success rate of those clients is much lower than those represented by a trademark attorney, but there's many clients who get through the process by themselves. So if you're willing to dig in for a few hours, kind of learn how to fill out that form, find some good answers maybe on this podcast, and you can certainly file it yourself. Yeah. Now, if you don't have money for an attorney, you're definitely not going to have money for filing abroad, because that gets crazy pants expensive. So I just quoted a client this morning to file in the UK, and whereas right now it's 250 going to 325 next week here in the US, it's like $950 in the UK. So it gets crazy expensive when you go abroad.
Got it. So you just make sure people caught that. The USPTO trademark filing fees per class going from what to what?
250 to 325. No, I'm sorry, 250 to 350. Excuse me.
Oh, that's a big jump.
That's a jump. I'm still learning. I'm still learning here on the new price. It's funny, I spent my career, last 13 years, memorizing all these weird random numbers, right? For cancellation, opposition filings, petitions to revive. I mean, Section 8, Section 9, 15, all these different numbers, right? And now I have to relearn them.
They're going to redo all that?
My brain, JD, is not as simple as it used to be, or it's very smooth these days.
Gosh. Well, the USPTO may be increasing by what appears to be almost 40%.
Mm-hmm.
Bold IP, bold patents, we're not going to raise prices a bit during this time.
Let's do it. Let's not do it.
Here's for you, the trademark, aspirational business owner, entrepreneur. So let's hope that money goes to good causes. Hopefully, get that trademark pendency down.
Oh, gosh, wouldn't that be great? I hope that's what they're doing with it, because folks who filed trademarks recently in the last 4 years know that it's gone from like 3 months to first examination to 8.5 now. I think it's come down to 8.5 from 10 months.
Okay. Yeah,
still too long though. But it is a significant price increase. So
yeah, it is. The last part of that question, I want to make sure we catch. You mentioned internationally is expensive.
Yeah.
Now, like patents, I assume it's the same on trademarks where there is no worldwide filing.
Correct.
You've got to file discrete countries. Is that the same?
Yeah, that's right. So you will get like an international trademark registration number.
Okay.
But it's only valid in the countries in which it applies to, right? Or it's been registered. Okay, so a lot of times, I'll come across folks who might have an international trademark registration number, right? But it's only in Canada.
Okay. Yeah.
So it just depends on how the trademark was filed, where it was filed, when it was filed. Did they use the DRIP protocol? Did they go through WIPO? Lots of reasons why you might have an international trademark that only applies to a couple countries.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, but it's expensive out there. I mean, if you go out to UAE, I just submitted a couple applications for a client to UAE, and I believe it was $5,000 in legal fee, in government fees.
Government fees, wow, yep. Goodness, well,
something that's like close to $2,500 per trademark, something like that, I believe.
Okay, and that's not legal fees; that's the administrative.
Yeah, that's just government fees. I mean, I think those were more than the legal fees, to be totally honest.
Yeah, it sounds pricey. Okay, so that can vary a lot. Okay, let's go over to the patent side. We got a question here. This is our, where did this come from? This is from Reddit patents. Is it possible or realistic to obtain a design patent with the USPTO for a product like a form-fitting silicone cover for a portable audio device that was patented by someone else? Interesting. New product cover follows the contours of an existing design, but differs in color, texture, and several other characteristics.
It's a great question.
It's pretty cool. So,
glad I'm not answering it.
Interesting. Okay, so you got to be real careful here, I think. You want
to maybe an opinion, maybe an infringement opinion.
I think the first order of business would be to make sure that you're looking at the product. If it's a specific product, let's just say a classic example might be AirPods, right? It's an AirPod cover. I'm imagining that. Okay, let's use that as an example. Apple's got several patents, both utility and design, covering the AirPod Pro, right? The actual structure, the way that it looks three-dimensionally from their own design. And I think if you're going to go produce a product that's kind of the inverse of that design, kind of like the cover, the anti-design, you'd want to make sure that you are not going to be infringing. I need to approach that. It'd be the first time I think I've ever done it, but I think to offer an infringement opinion on that shape, so long as it's not going to be anything that even looks like an AirPod or the actual device that's patented. And so you'd have to have it. You'd be disclaiming, obviously, anything underneath, anything looking like an AirPod, right? The cover. And so I think as long as it remains a cover, it's possible. But again, to get a patent, you've got to be able to show that it's novel and not an obvious version of something that came before it. And I think the fact that have knowledge of the actual shape that you're forming it around, that design has been out there. You'd have to show some other way, three-dimensionally, that you're changing that design substantially, so that it has other elements, folds, flaps, ridges, different type of aesthetic than what's underneath it. Otherwise, it is purely prior art.
Well, what about this? So JD, like I'm thinking just of the patent drawings that we've looked at in the past. You have the solid lines, which is what you're claiming as a feature of the patent, right? And then you have the dotted lines. Would potentially the inside like design, look or be in dotted lines essentially because it, is not being claimed? And if so, does that potentially get around the design patent? I don't know.
Yeah, you would not want to. So by not claiming, you would have it in dash lines. I think it's valuable to show the environment in a design patent. That's all you own is the drawing.
Right.
And so clearly showing at least one embodiment where how you would put that silicon cover, on is important.
Yeah.
But no, you're by no way saying it's only for that one product. It's just one embodiment. I think as long as what was in solid black line, based on some research we would hopefully do, you've got some ability to demonstrate that you've got novel features or elements.
Sure.
And if you think you do, I think it's perfectly fine. And one other cool, interesting, maybe not so cool for this person asking the question, but the patent office will issue a patent on a novel design, but it might infringe, let's say, this other product.
Sure.
And so you got to be careful. What are you getting a patent on? Can you commercialize it? The patent office is not going to do an infringement opinion for you.
Yeah, it's the same on the trademark side, right? I think clients often confuse with the registration process with the infringement process, right? Yeah. So registration, like different standard as compared to the litigation side, generally a lower standard, to be completely honest.
Totally. So, kind of somewhat off the cuff answer is, I don't think there's going to be a lot of trouble in terms of infringement. I mean, there's a lot of this type of devices. Think of all the cell phone covers and third-party accessories. And as long as it's not actually, you're not selling it as an audio device. It's purely a cover, an attachment, an accessory. I think you're going to be okay.
I would think from like a public policy standpoint, you'd want folks to be able to register these types of designs, right?
Yeah. I think there are. I mean, I'm not in the industry, but I'm sure there are. You always see those leaked Apple updates, when the new iPhone's coming out because the.
I heard at CES someone had like a Nintendo Switch 2.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there's all these kind of developers that or accessory makers that actually will get advance notice of what the dimensions will be, so they can start making those new designs for the covers. And there's a whole industry out there like it, but it does rely on some level of trust and confidentiality. But it's human nature to.
Hey, I got a quick story to tell you.
Okay, go ahead.
So we have a client at Bold who I spoke with a little bit earlier this month. He had a business years ago, and he went to market, created a brand, right? Was successful in that brand, and then slowly kind of lost interest in it, but still maintained some websites and things like that. Well, someone in China took his brand and all his images and logo, pictures, all that sort of stuff, reopened the store on Amazon and has been running the store.
Whoa!
Selling hundreds of thousands of products.
That's crazy.
Whoa! Right? So we're gonna be dealing with that, which is really interesting. But I've never seen such a brazen ripoff of a brand before.
We ought to bring that client on. What do you think? See if they're up for it.
Yeah, I think they would. We're trying to figure out what to do and if it's worth investing in the legal resources necessary to, potentially get the Amazon store back.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that would be pretty cool for him. If he could get that storefront transferred back to him.
But there's likely no recovery of damages or who knows what.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna be really hard to potentially, file a lawsuit against someone in China, right here in the United States. I mean, you could get a default judgment. You could probably get the money from the Amazon account. There's like an Amazon account where they keep basically the last 6 weeks worth of sales. Yeah. So you can probably get that from damages, but that's about it.
Okay. Well, it'd be cool to kind of hear how that shakes out.
Yeah. I'll be curious too. I really hope he wants to move forward with us because that'd be a fun project.
Yeah. All right, here we go. We'll go back to trademark side.
Cool.
This one is, can I trademark a business name that is basically my first name plus a descriptive name of what I'm selling? It's an online-only business. I'm selling mostly through eBay and on my own website. For examples like John's Bicycle Shop, it's well known for a niche market, but still a home-based one-person business. Is this something that's very unlikely to be approved because it's descriptive? If yes, do you think it's a 50-50 shot? If I'm unable to find out. Yeah, what do you think, Matt?
That's a good question. Let's do a little bit of on-the-fly research. How's that?
I love it. Yeah.
I'm thinking specifically in the bike reference is kind of apropos because we have a company here called Eric's Bike Shop.
Oh, yeah.
And they're pretty well known. And you can guess what Eric's Bike Shop is. Pretty easily, right?
Yeah. Pretty descriptive.
Yep. Pretty descriptive. So it is registered at the USPTO on the, let's see here, on the principal database.
There you go.
Generally speaking, the answer is no in my world for a couple reasons. One, it's going to be almost impossible to enforce. It's going to be very difficult to get the trademark too. But I want to look and see really quick if there was any pushback on the application. Bike shop was disclaimed. So he still had to enter the bike shop, but he was able to register Eric's.
Eric's with the apostrophe?
With the apostrophe.
Okay.
That's pretty wild to me. I mean, it's a pretty well-known company. So I want to look at one more thing, and maybe that'll give us a little bit more. Oh, yeah. So they go back to 1977.
Okay, so they've had some secondary meaning, no doubt.
They got secondary meaning. Look at you, JD.
Yes.
Secondary meaning acquired distinctiveness 2F amendment. Yeah, that's great. So yes and no. You got to be pretty gosh darn well known to make this work for yourself, both from a sales standpoint and a trademark registration standpoint.
So likely not a 50-50, more like a 0.5 to 100. And
I would do whatever I could to get the client to change their brand.
Okay, good. Don't use your name and don't describe the product and the brand if you can.
Yeah.
Or just, not a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, like for a bike shop, right? You don't need to call it Eric's Bike Shop. You could call it, what are parts of bikes? Stem and horn, I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
Or chain and sprocket.
Chain and sprocket. Look at you. Look at that. Very creative.
Yeah, or sprockets. Just call it sprockets, right? I mean, whatever. There's lots of great brands out there. Just find something that's unique. Very,
very good. All right, let's do one more on the patent side. This is about types of patents.
Great, man. It's fun doing this again. It's been a few weeks.
Yeah, keep on your toes. Okay, I have an idea for a product that fulfills a very specific need in a fast-growing niche industry. The product involves me modifying an existing product or technology by altering the shape and generally accepted use of existing tech to fit the specific need in said niche industry. With all that said, what type of patent would be more appropriate for the situation? Utility, method, or design? Okay, good question. You're modifying an existing tech, changing the shape, but not necessarily the function. That's the way I'm reading it.
He can totally file this by himself, right?
Well, hey, don't do it. Look, so if I'm reading this correctly, I would assume if you're only changing the shape of the product, design patents will be usually the way to go. I think it's wise for you to conduct sometimes, especially with physical products, there are some functional benefits. Even if it's reducing drag or if it's helping ergonomics, providing some level of support or benefit, additional attachment mechanism. So if you can find any utility, we will help you look and see if there's some novelty there. The benefit is going to be broad because you'll be able to get a nice broad claim that will cover more than just one specific three-dimensional shape. And if the goal here, it sounds like you're modifying an improvement, might be to license back to this person, this company that has a product already, and let them continue to go to market and pay you a royalty for one.
All right, folks. I think we're losing JD here. We'll see if he comes back here in a minute or two, and we will pick up the conversation at that point. Hey, folks. I'm having a hard time getting a hold of JD here. I'm sure everything's okay, but just lost internet. Gonna hang around for another minute or so here, see if he rejoins or if we get an update from him. Yeah, he just sent me a text message. So having internet issues. He's trying to reconnect. So we'll give it a few minutes. Thanks.
And we're back.
What's going on?
We picked it up like nothing else up. Lost internet.
That's
back up. You had to restart the router. So back in action. Thanks for the wait. I just needed more time to be able to answer this question.
I hear you.
This is a tough one. I think it's well written and it's intimidating. So I mean, I'll kind of work my way through it.
I mean, I guess you can probably do multiple different patents on this one, right?
I think have a chat. I think do some research on what you've come up with. I answered already about the shape and how it could have some utility to it. So it's going to depend. It's going to depend as my astute answer for you.
Sure.
So yeah, that's a quick one there. But good thing you're looking at trying to improve. Most patents issued today are improvements, right, on existing technology. They're not completely brand new blue ocean.
Stand on the shoulders of giants.
Yes. Okay, we've done 4, Matt, and with just one major interruption, we're going to do our bold bite and then wrap it up. I don't see any live questions. Folks are still kind of getting back to it. Obviously, working hard on the new year. If you're out there listening, this is your shot to ask away. We'll move on to our next segment here.
Cool.
All right. So this is for our bold bite. Okay, let me take a look. I'll switch our audio over and let it rip. Okay. Okay, here we go, Matt.
Let's do it.
Hello, Sharks. I'm Ali.
I'm Amanda.
And I'm Victor. And we're here to ask for $250,000 in exchange for 10% of our company.
Whoa.
Sharks, are you ever in an important meeting in front of pretty important people and all of a sudden you get the hiccups? Hiccups can be really embarrassing. They can be annoying and sometimes even painful.
Amanda, here, try this. Pinch your nose. Drink this glass of water all down in one gulp and stand on one leg and balance. It didn't work. Try this. Boo!
Oh my God, Sharks. I'm so sorry. I don't know what's happening.
Guys, allow me, a doctor, to help. It's time to say goodbye to all of these silly tricks and instead say hello to hiccup-way, the most effective way that you can stop your hiccups. Amanda, just take this, give me that glass of water, just put, and drink through it. That easy.
Wow, my hiccups are gone.
Amazing.
How does that work?
Shocking how that happened.
You know, hiccups are a repeated cycle of spasms in the diaphragm, and drinking through the hiccup-way generates enough pressure that can stop those spasms in the diaphragm.
It may sound complicated, but hiccup-way does all the work.
Dr. Ali here created the only scientific hiccup remedy.
Sharks, who's ready to put an end to those far-fetched folk remedies and solve an age-old problem that affects everyone with
Hiccup-way.
Okay, I got a question. Dr. Ali, what's the effectiveness rate?
So there is actually a study that we did a year ago, and we published in JAMA, Journal of American Medical
I actually
Association.
subscribe to JAMA.
We show 90% effectiveness.
90% effective.
But Doc, I don't understand because honestly, I have a really bad hiccup problem. It's happened to me about 4 times in my life where I have them for probably about 12 hours. I have to either take monthly relaxers or Valium. I just took a sip of this. It's like, I don't understand. It feels like just regular water going in.
I can show you how does it work. Several things can cause hiccups, such as acid reflux disease, carbonated soda, alcoholic beverage, or spicy food, right? So any of these can trigger the diaphragm here, and then this is spasm. Then a quick send a message to the brain through the phrenic nerve, and then send a quick message to our throat, and gonna close the valve. And this is the time you hear the sound of hic, right? And this gonna go again and again as a vicious cycle. When you drink through the hiccup-way, we calculated the length and the diameter and the valve here to reach out when you drink water through it to reach a certain pressure. And this keeps the diaphragm for, like, let's say 5 to 10 seconds, pull it down and keep it there. So for 5 to 10 seconds, these two, the diaphragm and the valve, are closed. brain resets this cycle. So the spasm stops and it goes away.
Dr. Ali, do you have any testimonials?
Yes.
I have very strange hiccups. They sound.
Close it down so that it's taking me a lot more pressure.
Right.
And I don't need this thing.
Very good question.
No hiccups?
Wow, that's crazy.
Wow. So why can't I get a straw and close it down so that it's taking me a lot more pressure?
Right.
And I don't need this thing.
Very good question. The thing is that to control that diaphragm, you need to reach to a certain pressure.
So I can't emulate this with a straw. I've got to get this.
Right.
So I'm just curious about your background. What kind of medical doctor are you?
I'm a neurointensivist. Neurointensivist means that the brain ICU doctors. I work with patients with head trauma, stroke, brain aneurysm, bleeding into the head.
Wow.
Anything related to brain and spine.
Do you own 100% of the business?
Victor and I, we have 50% share of the business of Hickway.
What happened to Amanda? She's the best looking one here.
My niece, actually, she worked with our marketing.
Yeah, so I'm the head of marketing and I get a commission on sales. I didn't put up any money. I don't have equity. I'd love to one day, but I'm very involved in this and it is like my baby.
So, guys, look, I'll save a lot of time. I love it. Anything that solves a medical problem that really bothers people in one way or the other and has the science to back it up is a good thing, right? Yeah. It's not something that you're just going to blow up and have 100,000 units sold in a day, right? It's a slow burn and you want it. It's only been around how many years?
1 year.
1 year.
1 year. So it's going to take time for people to know that it's there. But this, I guarantee you, this will become part of everybody's medicine cabinet. Guaranteed.
Yeah. Mark, would you do
No,
15?
no, because I know where I go there and said people should
All
buy
the
it.
same for me. I have products in every big box retailer.
Yeah, but he's Chef Wonderful and he's everything else.
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what do you do?
Damon, what are you doing?
Guys, and I'm not going to tell you I'm going to be here waiting. Yeah, I'm not going to wait around.
That's okay.
So it's your decision to make.
18.
No.
Mark, you have a deal.
All right. Mark, keeping
we got a deal.
We got a deal.
Yeah, Mark really stuck to his guns there, huh?
He did. Yeah. Well, what's your take on the product there, Matt?
Hey, I love simple product design, right? That's, effective and, durable. It's not a one and done kind of product, which is cool from a consumer standpoint. I like it. I think it's cool. I mean, I like peanut butter better, but
Yeah, it's simple. I got to be cheaper. I hadn't heard of the product before. I get hiccups from time to time, but mine usually resolve within 10. Like as soon as you forget about it, just 10, 15 minutes.
Right.
Apparently like Damon, they have hours. That would be atrocious.
Yeah, I mean, I've known a couple people who have chronic hiccups. Right.
Yeah.
There was a gal in one of my law school classes. She'd hiccup all class, all year for 3 years.
Right. Well, I was bummed they didn't ask about patents, but there are some patents attached to this, interestingly enough. And they didn't mention one little tidbit that I think probably came up in the back room. I'll show off the utility patent that they were able to get recently.
I was curious about that because someone mentioned what's to prevent me from, just using a straw and making it, it's like, should have said my patent.
Yeah. Well, I thought was really fascinating too, is that there's a university involved here. So at least the Board of Regents at the University of Texas is the assignee on this utility. So there has been some funding, perhaps some linkage there, perhaps with Ali, Mr. Ali's Dr. Safe. Maybe he's a professor or adjunct. Somehow they got some funding to do the research, perhaps, for this. But it's now owned. Maybe they sold it to the University of Texas. So they've that's their current status. You can see that here.
Yeah.
Assignee. The utility, it looked like a nice utility app. They got a really good set of drawings and description, and their claim is a nice 3 or 4 element claim. So it is definitely a device. A device claim is really powerful, as long as it's not too specific on the limitations. But it's got a body, a first end, a first hole that's smaller. There's basically 2 separate apertures One is for obviously taking the liquid up, and the other was for generating that pressure they're talking about. I've never heard of this part of your body called the epiglottis. That's probably that valve he's talking about.
Yeah, it's at the back of your throat there.
Is that okay? There you go. And a rotable cover. So it seems pretty tight. So congrats to them on that. I do also see there's design patent was issued too. So not just the utility, but also the way that it looks. So, and this one is interesting, assigned to, I believe it's their company called Higher Innovations. I'm assuming that's what it is. The recent assignment into the ownership residing with the entity. There's what it looks like, and it looks about what we saw on the video. You've got an adult and a child version, and like you were talking about earlier, Matt, a lot of these additional features are not claimed. So this is in dashed lines. They're kind of showing what it would look like. But what's in solid line is, of course, the outer three-dimensional shape with the ridges here. They thought that was important distinction, and so that's part of their claimed design. All right. So kudos to them for getting that. And I think that's going to be a major part of what will keep them in a competitive edge moving forward. And they've got their website, Hiccup-stopping. And I did not get a chance to do research on see how they've done post Shark Tank, but it's been pretty recent. So Mark Cuban, I'm sure, has got some connections to try to get that product out. Anything to react with regarding the trademark side?
What was the brand again?
It's Hick, Hicc, away.
Hick away. Almost like a hickey away? Because, I mean, that's what I thought. I was like, that's a terrible name.
Hick away. And if you're out in the Midwest or something, you might get some people pissed off. All right, on them a hick. Okay, all right.
We got plenty of those here in Minnesota. All right. Yeah, so they have multiple registrations here for Hick-away.
Okay.
Interestingly enough, they have two different designs. That's why. One's like a horizontal stack and the other's a vertical stack. So they are registered for, devices. We have lots of clients that we work with on medical device technology or medical tangential products. Do you happen to know when you have to start, going through FDA for this kind of stuff? How invasive, or because they're making a medical claim, right?
Yeah, I think there's at least a class one. There's different classes, and I'm not enough the regulations person, but I believe, class one is where you have to follow what's called a 510K. The FDA has to look at it, what your claims, and basically give it a approved or not in terms of whether it has enough efficacy.
Sure.
I think class 2 and certainly class 3, I think, is where you got to do clinical trials, and it's much more involved pharmaceutical stage. But it's a really good question. Actually, I just connected.
Yeah, because it's so borderline, right? It feels like a novelty thing, but like they're making medical claims about the body and like what it can do.
Yeah.
So maybe it is that class 1 categorization. I don't know.
Right. Now, that's what most medical devices, as long as they're not like in the body or changing, being in sort of like a prescription, requiring a prescription.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem to be a whole lot of inherent danger here, so maybe it's not worth regulating that. So I don't know.
Yep. From let's see. So we had the big news on the USPTO fee change.
Yep.
Anything else coming on the pike in terms of news for IP law or anything you've got your eye on?
Nothing at this point. I should probably take a look at see what the Supreme Court's up to. But we haven't had any big cases in the last year or so. So no,
right.
Nothing.
Yeah, I was kind of digging. The last news I had was back in December. At the time, USPTO director Kathy Vidal did retire, resign, and so there's no currently named director. I think there's a intermediary right now. So we're waiting to see who gets appointed by the new president, which will be sworn in on Monday. So that's probably the newest information I've got on that.
Should be interesting. It's typically not a very political position, is my understanding.
Right. Yeah, right. Well, I think that's much more on the enforcement side, and lots of news with the DOJ and how that's changing, perhaps for the better, which is good. So
yeah.
All right.
It'll certainly be I'm curious to see like how this, these new tariffs, assuming that all of them go into place, are going to impact trademark registration and litigation.
Yeah.
Presumably you're not going to have as many brands here legally, right? But these Chinese counterfeit products are still going to come in some way.
Yeah, we hope it'll hopefully cool that. But just fewer products in general should mean fewer infringing or fewer counterfeit goods.
Yeah, I've heard some clients. My number one client mentioned this today, but a lot of the stuff that he's getting from China is coming in through Mexico. So they're sending it to Mexico, right, and kind of putting it on a different truck, shoot it up to the United States, right, and getting around that tariff potentially.
Okay, yeah, they'll find ways.
They'll find ways, right? Exactly.
Yeah. Well, good deal, Matt. Well, thanks again for being with me here, and for those out there, wish you guys a good rest of your day and an awesome week. We're here live every Wednesday. We'll be here again next week at 1:30 Pacific, and come with some questions. Love to have you participate, ask away, get involved. We'll see you then. Take care, everybody. Go big, go bold.
Go big, go bold at boldip.com.